Hi, I'm John, MoleMan Anthony. I'm a world-class boomerang competitor, a world champion, and a former world record holder. And I'd like to, there's this great metaphor for life. It's called the boomerang theory. And it's whatever you throw out comes back to you. It's kind of like positive energy attracts positive energy. And I'd like to just take a couple seconds and talk to you about how boomerangs have affected my life and my way of thinking. I'm 12 years old. I'm playing Little League. I'm outstanding in right field. And I mean outstanding because I wasn't much of an athlete as a kid. But I enjoyed the game, so I went out and played. But this day, it's sunny and something's caught my eye. It's bright and it's red, and it's up in the tree next to me. And I know what it is, and I know I have to have this. And some of you probably remember these. It's a red Whammo plastic boomerang. And I can't take my mind off it. And someone's going to get to it before me. And I don't even care about the game. I just want to get over there and get this boomerang. And of course I can't. So I wait and I wait. And the game ends. And I sprint right past my mom. And I climb this tree. And I shake the branch. And this boomerang falls out. And I jump down and I grab my prize. Well, in Vegas back in the 70s, a lot of the neighborhoods, most of the neighborhoods, had big empty desert lots next to them. So when I got home, I grabbed that boomerang, and I went running out to this desert lot, and I gave it a big sidearm throw, and it corkscrewed right, hit a rock, and broke into 3 places. And my experience for the boomerang excitement was shattered. So we'll jump ahead 11 years, and I'm recently out of the Coast Guard. 4 years in the Coast Guard. I was relocated into the Bay Area, and I'm living in Berkeley, California. And I'm hanging out in a local punk rock scene. And one of these guys, his name's Mike Gervin. I see him a lot riding around town on a white moped, white wicker basket, big flower on it, and all these boomerangs sticking out of this basket. And I see him riding around town a lot. So one day I get a chance to talk to him. And I ask him about the boomerangs. He says, look, if you really want to learn to throw, why don't you meet me here at the park tomorrow? I'll teach you how to throw. So I do that. I meet him at the park the next day. And he starts giving me a lesson on how to throw boomerangs. He teaches me to hold it with a pinch grip so you could create a lot of spin when it comes out. He teaches me that you want to throw it overhand, maybe at a 1 o'clock position. And you want to throw it straight, and you want it to spin a lot, but you want the boomerang to do all the turning. So I take his advice, and most importantly, grab some wind and throw it in the air, grab some grass and throw it in the air, so you can see your wind, because you want to throw 90 degrees to the right of the wind. Very important when you guys run out. And by the way, you lefties, you have to do it just the opposite of everything I'm saying. You got to see it the other way. But you want the wind hitting your left shoulder. So I get up and I give it a big throw, and it floats beautifully around. And then I realize I don't know how to catch it, and it comes back. I miss it, hits the ground. And I was amazed I was hooked. I claimed my boomerang excitement, my thrill. And I was hooked immediately. So Mike, my birthday was coming up, and Mike gives me 5 boomerang blanks. This is what a blank is, okay? It's a piece of plywood that's been cut into a boomerang shape. Has no airfoils on it. It's the beginning of a boomerang. And he took me to his place, and he broke out the sanders, and he taught me how to make my own boomerangs, how to start cutting airfoils. He taught me that a right-handed boomerang has 2 right-handed airplane wings, and that a left-handed boomerang has 2 left-handed airplane wings. And he taught me that the way a wing works is that there's a leading edge and a trailing edge, and that the wind travels farther over the top than it does underneath at the same speed, creating lift. He taught me that all the different airfoils I could put on this could change. I could take the same shape, 2 of the same shape, different airfoils, and get 2 different reactions out of the boomerang. And while we're on the science, let me run through the science of boomerangs real quick too. Gyroscopic precession and upward lift. When someone asks you what causes the boomerang return, tell them gyroscopic precession and upward lift. Boomerang is spinning. By your force, boomerang spinning, which creates an axis. And if you know how a gyroscope works, when you put pressure on one side, gives the opposite pressure the other way. When this boomerang is spinning, it's got a front edge that's creating lift, which is pushing in this direction, pushing the back of it around, and the boomerang makes its turn. Sounds pretty simple. I learned other things that you could do. You could put weight on the tips to get inertia and get the boomerang out, or you could put weights in the middle to get it to spin faster and float. You could put flaps on it to cause drag and get the boomerang to fall out of the sky so on a windy day it doesn't blow past you, or even holes throughout the boomerang to create drag. And with all of this information, I learned how to make just about any shape return. Now, I didn't make these. These are boomerangs I've collected over the years, with a little Chinese 5-blader, maybe letters of the alphabet or question marks, anything like that. Different geometric designs. Maybe your favorite animals. Household items or sporting items. Believe it or not, this returns. See the airfoils? Not in here. I don't think it would turn before it went through that window over there. One of my favorites, how about wall hangings? 3 different boomerangs. His name is Chief Returns. So that's a science, but let's jump back 11 years, back in Berkeley. Mike and I are throwing, we threw a couple other people together and we created a team called Team Gel. And we heard there was national competitions down in LA that summer. So we took off to LA to check it out. And we walked up on people, 60 people, with things like this. Boomerang cases with file folders just full of boomerangs. I had 5, remember. Full of boomerangs. And each file, this one might be for wind, and this one might be for calm. And you could just choose and pick, and each one's tuned a little bit differently. And some of them are your friends, and some are new ones that you haven't thrown before. But I had the 5, okay? And I have to step up, and I have to throw in my first event. This event was an event called Fast Catch. You throw 1 boomerang 5 times. Your time from your first throw, this is the Fast Catch boomerang nowadays, your time from your first throw to your 5th catch. You've got 1 minute to complete the 5 catches. If you don't get 5 catches in a minute, you're scored the amount of catches you have. World record, by the way, 14.8 or 6.8 seconds nowadays. Back then it was about 23 seconds. But so I step up, whistle blows, I start throwing. Well, I don't remember the successions of flybys and grounds and how many times I ran after it. I even broke one in the middle. But when that minute whistle blew, I had 0 catches. Mike Gervin leapt off the line, came running in hands high. I did a standing backflip. We high-fived and we walked out of the circle, talking about what I had just experienced. And the rest of the throwers looked at us like, I don't think he realizes he just did about as bad as you could possibly do. But we did realize it, and we were questioned about that throughout the day. And we told them, making it to the Nationals here in LA was a win. And competing in my first event in the U.S. National Boomerang competitions was a win. Competing against some of the best boomerang throwers in the world was a win. Most importantly, going out and giving 150% no matter what the outcome was a win. We both became better throwers, but shortly after that, in '85, I moved out to the East Coast, where I found there was boomerang competitions I could travel from Virginia all the way up to Montreal if I wanted. Go out to Ohio, I could hit 9, 10 of them in a year. And so I did, and I got a little bit better. And by 1988, I made my first U.S. team to travel abroad to Europe. Mike and I both made that team, and we did well enough that after that we were considered as regular U.S. throwers, which took us to places like France, Germany, Switzerland, Australia, New Zealand, and Japan. And with the excitement that we had brought in, at one point in '87, actually, they awarded Team Gel the Flight of Fancy Award for bringing excitement and enthusiasm into the sport of boomerang throwing. So in '91 and '92 are 2 big years that stick out for me because they were back-to-back wins. It was my first team win in '91, Perth, Australia, and back-to-back in Hamburg, Germany in '92. But my most important feat, to me anyway, just 21 years after that first awful throw in Las Vegas, I set a world record in an event called Australian Round. I thought I had one. An event called Australian Round. It's an event that combines accuracy, distance, and catching. To some, consider it one of the most ultimate boomerang events. So let me go a little bit real quick here to the history of boomerangs. Boomerangs were discovered, everybody wants to say Australia, but over 20,000 years ago in Poland. All right? And then about 5,000 to 10,000 years ago, boomerangs were discovered all over the world. And what they would do is they would take This is also a first cousin to a boomerang. And what they would do is they would take the trunk and the root of the tree, because it's hard, and that's what they would cut out, and they would do it with primitive tools. And then they would take this, it's called either a hunting stick or a kylie, and they would throw it sidearm, totally flat, and it flies like a frisbee, totally straight. And you can hunt with it, but it's a multi-tool. They also dug holes with it and chopped brush and skinned animals. And as they used it, they would find that one edge would wear down a little more than the others, and it would stop flying true and it would begin to turn. So somewhere along the line, a thinker said, what if I make a smaller version, more airfoil, tighten it up a little, can I get it to return? And which is what they did. And boomerangs, returning boomerangs, have been more of a sport, toy, ritual throughout, and an avenue for me. It's been wonderful. It's funny how all through life, I keep coming back to boomerangs, and boomerangs keep coming back to me. They've taught me that by applying the right kind of energy, whether it's mental energy, physical energy, or even psychological energy, that I can accomplish just about anything. And you guys remember what I told you at the beginning, what you throw out comes back to you. Thank you for listening, and stay rad.